All right, let's take the story further now. We speak to SABC News reporter Samkele Maseko, who is talking to us about this and more. Samkele, I see Nomusa Dube is making a comeback there. You also see Begim Dole is at 15, and you're looking at James Nxumalo as well. Let's talk about this list.
It's a very interesting list, looking at the combination of senior leaders of the ANC, the youth that has been brought to the fore as well. You look at the likes of Ntuchugo Makomboti, the former president of SASCO. He makes a political comeback in his home province of KwaZulu-Natal, being included within this provincial task team. But if you are looking at the elders of the African National Congress, you look at the likes of Weziwe Thusi, who resides in Umlazi, who lives amongst the people, also been included within that particular list of the African National Congress. It just tells you that they are truly going and trying to go back to the people, engaging with them. The likes of James Nxumalo, the former mayor of Etegwini municipality, where he took over after Obert Mlaba within that particular municipality, a very seasoned member of the African National Congress and also a leader of the South African Communist Party as its provincial chairperson in KwaZulu-Natal. It will be rather interesting on how he performs his functions, knowing that the SACP wants to go it alone come the 2026 local government elections. But it just tells you that they are really going back to the people. You look at their veteran politician in the form of ANC politics, not truly veteran, but a senior member of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, Nhlakanipho Ntombela, who was a former provincial chair of the ANC Youth League within that province. He's been an organizer of the African National Congress for a number of years, particularly when they were under siege after the formation of COPE. He was part of the organizing team with Fikile Mbalula as head of organizing when they had those 9 rallies across all 9 provinces where former President Jacob Zuma addressed those particular rallies. So he's a seasoned member when it comes to organizing. The inclusion of Advocate Kwazimshengu Jomosbiya after they were rejected by their province after the Taliban won that province. But if you also look at the composition of the interim officials, a demotion for Siboniso Oduma, who was the provincial chair. He's now the second convener after Weziwe Thusi. Basically, he's being added there as a member who's still within the executive of the province, but he won't have much weight and authority looking at the composition of those interim officials with Nomusa Dube, whom he was seen to be undermining as the premier of the province before the elections. Ndiema also makes a political comeback as coordinator of the province after he was rejected by Begim Dole before the election, saying that people in KwaZulu-Natal and structures in KwaZulu-Natal tend not to take notice and to respect leadership that is appointed and respects leadership that is rather elected, basically saying that he would not see Ndiema playing a critical role on the virtue that he was not elected, rather than now he's being appointed by the National Executive Committee of the ANC.
And given the fact that now this is an appointed leadership, it's not an elected one, and I wonder then, how do they begin to move past that notion and also make sure that as the province, they are now going to come out of the Toyota Tez or conquest mode and then get into the Ferrari mode that they're supposed to get into?
It's going to be rather interesting, because in a conversation I had with Nhlakanipho Ntombela earlier on during the day, I had already known that he was going to be the organizer of this provincial task team. He had said that, I asked him, why don't you go back and being spokesperson of the province? You're a spokesperson when Mdumzeni Ntuli was provincial secretary. He said, the ANC is at its weakest at organizing. My strength within the African National Congress has always been in the organizing space. I'm going back to that space. I was not there during the elections. I need to reorganize the ANC, sorting out the Youth League, sorting out the Women's League, sorting out the ANC its entirety. Many of the ANC regions across all 11 regions of the province, they're in tatters. You look at Etegwini region, where he hails from, totally in shambles, totally in ruins. They have got to reorganize that biggest voting block within the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Then you go to the Umgungundlovu district, which is the Moses Mabhida region, second biggest feeder when it comes to elections, also in ruins. There, where Mzi Thobela is the regional chair and Samora Ndlovu is the regional secretary, a region that used to perform well within the history of the ANC in politics, but has totally been decimated structurally as well. So those are some of one of the biggest influences that they have. But whether you look at the energy of these elderly people, do they still have this energy, the agility to be able to go to the voter base? KwaZulu-Natal is a totally different beast. The EFF is largely youthful, does not get that number of votes. KwaZulu-Natal needs seasoned people who are able to relate with the electorate, who are able to relate with the traditional aspect of the traditional leaders of the ANC and the traditional leaders within that particular province, to look at the inclusion of Nkosi Xolo within that particular provincial task team. It just tells you that they are also serious in regaining lost ground when it comes to traditional leaders. That is going to be away from your traditional senior leaders of the African National Congress, like your Dr. Zwelini Mkhize, like your Senzo Mchunus, but getting those traditional leaders whom are still within the structures of the ANC to be within the leadership of the party. That will also counter Nkosi Xiliza within the MK party, who's in the leadership of that particular organization. The ANC as well has also decided to include these particular traditional leaders whom are aligned to the ANC and are open about it. I know Fikile Mbalula during the election campaign, I covered him when he went to meet Nkosi Xolo in the Lower South Coast, a man who's largely respected within his particular area, where Nkosi Xiliza also comes from as well.
It's going to be an interesting one, Samkele, especially when you think about the MK party and the factor that it played in the elections. And I suppose it's all preparations now for 2026?
It is all preparations for 2026. Hence, you saw the vast inclusion of young people across all regions of the province. I look at Samkele Maseko. Samkele Maseko hails from Moses Mabhida region, hails from an area called Mpendle, largely seasoned within ANC politics, very articulate as well, very smart. But you've also got to look at the intergenerational mix that they've included within this provincial task team. It is about 63 people. If you ask me, it's a kindergarten. It will deepen factions within the African National Congress. Thandwe Sabela makes a political comeback. He's a former provincial secretary of the ANC Youth League, when the ANC Youth League was literally alive only in KwaZulu-Natal and dead everywhere else within the country. But he also comes with his own factional baggage of politics from the eThekwini region, with his battles with the former regional chairperson who is currently on step aside. That would be Zandile Gumede. But it also looks into the political machinations of how the NEC of the ANC wants to envisage the PTT once they go to a provincial conference. Your inclusion of Jomos Biya, Kwazimi Shengu, Amanda Pani, and many others. It just tells you that they want to paint a picture that there is intergenerational mix, but also propping up Michael Mabuya Akulu, who is the coordinator, who's never been a provincial secretary, by the way, or a regional secretary of the ANC. His history was within the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, NUMSA. It is for the first time he is within that role of it being in the Secretariat of the African National Congress. Hence, he wants Nhlakani Pontombela as the head of organizing, because he's been in the Secretariat of the organization. He knows it. He knows organizing in and out. And it also just tells you that it might be in a way of trying to work towards the provincial conference to have the desired outcome that you have, so that you don't have another kindergarten that is elected as the provincial leadership that does not respect traditional authority, that does not respect the electorate, that does as they please, and does not respect the royal household within the province of KwaZulu-Natal, that is the Zulu family, and in particular the king. Hence that mic-grabbing incident between Siboniso Duma and Thulasizwe Buthelezi, who is also in trouble with his own political organization, the Inkatha Freedom Party, as much as Duma has been demoted within the African National Congress, and Bheki Mtolo pretty much kicked to the curbs and just left with his salary.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens then, Samkele, as they're now looking to stabilize that province. That's my colleague there, SABC News senior reporter Samkele Maseko.